Hello, and welcome back to the chat. As you see here, we're at the kind of start of the free agency period after the 23-24 season, and as expected, we did win the Stanley Cup. This is going to be a quick recap of the 23-24 season in terms of how we did in the regular season, and a little bit of playoff experience, and then kind of the free agency moves, all that good stuff. So let's kind of start at the beginning of the regular season. As you can see here, we finished with a 41-38-3 record, which is good enough for 85 points, and like by 1 point ahead of the Calgary Flames, good enough for the second wild card from the West, so better than the Coyotes did that season IRL, so we made the playoffs. In terms of the kind of goals for and goals against per game, kind of somehow shocked we even made the playoffs, because our goals for per game was 2.82, which was 30th in the league, and then our goals against per game was 3.02, which is 13th. So kind of President's Trophy that went to the New York Rangers, who were tied on points with the Florida Panthers at 114. I guess they had the tiebreaker or whatever. See here, the scorer was Clayton Keller with 32 goals, 46 assists, 78 points. Then just kind of scrolling down, Michael Kesselring here finished with 10 goals, 12 assists, 22 points, which is not bad. And I guess as you see here, he's still here because his contract was expiring, so a little preview of the free agency stuff. His contract did expire at the end of the season, but he was down to re-sign new contracts that were going on for at least 2 more seasons and a 2-year extension. So they got at least 2 more seasons of this series to go, unless we win the Stanley Cup next year. So that's good there. So it's kind of the regular season there. In terms of the playoffs, playoff tree here. As you can see, we got matched against the Colorado Avalanche, finished with 113 points. They were first in the Central and in the Western Conference in the regular season. And we got swept, but it was a close series for the most part. We lost game 1, 3-4 in overtime, and then lost games 2 and 3 by a score of 2-1. And then game 4, they kind of stamped us out with a chance to stamp us out. They stamped us out with a battering of 6-1. So we got a little bit of playoff experience, which is more than I was expecting out of the season. So I'll take it, but it would be nice if we kind of made a run, but we didn't. As you can see, the Winnipeg Jets, who finished second in the Central with 102 points, took out the President's Trophy winning New York Rangers, thank God, in the Stanley Cup final. Might win 5 games to win the Stanley Cup. That's good there. So it kind of turns to that brief playoff foray. There's that player stats. We had kind of co-leading points with Sean Dursey and Clayton Keller each had 3 points, and Kesselring had Zippo 0 points, which I guess isn't really surprising considering we got swept in 4 games. He scored a grand total of 6 goals in the 4 games, so it doesn't really surprise me. So it kind of turns to the awards and whatnot. As that, Jets won the Stanley Cup, Rangers the President's Trophy, and Jets and Rangers the 2 teams in the Stanley Cup final. There's the individual awards. Art Ross went to Brad Marchand, who finished with 105 points for the Boston Bruins, now of the Florida Panthers IRL post the trade deadline, which is a pretty wild move. Didn't really see that. I think there were murmurings Marchand would get traded, but like traded to an in-division team for just a second-round pick was a bit wild, but it's the magic of the trade deadline, I suppose. He then kind of smashed a bunch of the awards because he finished top scorer, so he also won the Hart. Norris went to Adam Fox, who I kind of low-key, even though as a Ranger, I would say probably deserved the Hart, considering he had 104 points as a defenseman, which was second to Marchand. David Pastrnak was third in scoring with 102, both from the Boston Bruins. So, Fox on the kind of best team in the regular season with 104 points as a defenseman. He probably would have my vote for the Hart, even though he's a Ranger. He also won the Lady Byng. Caller run to Matt Nyes of the Maple Leafs. Conn Smythe went to Kyle Connor of the Jets. Vezina went to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen of the Buffalo Sabres, which is kind of surprising considering I guess they had a good record. They finished 91 points, missed the playoffs, but I guess he was the best goalie in the league somehow, on like maybe a middle-of-the-road team that missed the playoffs. Jennings was Freddie Anderson of the Carolina Hurricanes, who finished second in the Metro with 105 points, so that kind of tracks there. Masterton was Brad Kogutis. Jack Adams did go to our coach here. As we did, I guess we made the playoffs, and that was good enough for the game to give him the Jack Adams. Selke went to Crosby. Ted Lindsay went to Marchand, and the Rocket Shard went to Austin Matthews, who finished with 98 points in the regular season. So, as you kind of saw there, our coach won the Jack Adams. So now kind of getting into our kind of draft and free agency and all that good stuff. So let's just start with the draft, because that's the first thing I have chronologically. So we had a butt ton of picks. I ended up using 9 of them, all I think in or before the 5th round, and traded away our 5th, 2 6th, and a 7th for a 3rd from Anaheim in next year's 2025 draft. So there wasn't really anyone left that my scouting department identified. So I was like, okay. So then those 9 picks we did pretty good. All of them should at some point, hopefully, enter the system, potentially become NHLers down the line. And we had 3 gems, a center, a right wing, and a goalie. So it's pretty solid IMO. In terms of free agency and stuff, our coach won the Jack Adams, and I was kind of, despite that, getting ready to fire him and replace him with a new coach. But of the head coaches available on the market, none of them had pinch/balance, which is Kesselring's kind of player preference on any of their pairs at all. So none of them would have fit. So I was like, we'll stick with our current coach who won the Jack Adams. We'll give him another season. So we stuck with our coach. And that kind of meant was kind of limited free agent moves, but we kind of didn't really need much free agency because our entire forward group pretty much we're able to bring back, or we're going to replace players who left with kind of players from our systems. So I only need to sign a 13th forward, which is Austin Zarnik. And then in terms of defense, those were kind of where we need to sign people, re-sign people. That was kind of what we did. Spent a decent chunk of cash, re-signing like Sean Jersey, JJ Moser, etc., and Michael Kesselring, as I mentioned earlier. And kind of the only hole we had was second pair left defenseman, because Travis Dermott didn't want to stay. So I replaced him with, go to contracts here. You might have seen his name kind of in some of the scoring things. Go to not goalies. Is there? See there, we're keeping him Melka because they're kind of still signed. Yeah, I replaced him with Nikita Zadorov, Big Z. Not the Big Z, because that's Zdeno Chara, but Nikita Zadorov. Signed him to a kind of 2-year contract, which is kind of unusual for me. I'm usually like more of a 1-year deal kind of guy, especially because we're usually kind of trying to find people who fit our coach's schemes. We're giving them a trial period, but because we know the current coach isn't like our permanent coach, I was like, we could give Zadorov a 2-year deal, so we kind of have him locked down, and then we don't have to worry. We can just have him for next season, this season, like the upcoming season, the second season after that, and kind of if next off season we're able to replace our coach who doesn't fit, he'll still have 1 year in his deal and we can move him on and whatnot. But yeah, so Zadorov was only really a big free agent signing in terms of 7th defenseman. When signed Hayden Fleury on a 2-year deal, kind of 7th defenseman signing my 2-year deal, not a huge deal there either, because it's very replaceable. But yeah, that was kind of all our free agent business because we didn't really have much. So in terms of kind of wrap things up here with expectations for next season, I guess since we made the playoffs this year, it's going to be a difference. Not like I played a bunch more of the games to kind of keep the record as close as possible to their IRL record, but then kind of their dismal February, they didn't win a single game in the 23-24 season IRL. Kind of, I think allowed me simming all those kind of allowed me to kind of overcome their actual record, because we got a couple of wins there they didn't get and whatnot. So next season, I don't know, it didn't really change. The roster is basically identical, and it kind of struggled in the regular season, in the simulation. So I'm kind of expecting a kind of similar position where we are, a bubble, barely make the playoffs or kind of just miss the playoffs kind of situation. It's kind of a mediocre middle of the pack team, not too bad, but not bad enough to get a higher pick, but not good enough to make the playoffs, make a run either, which would be a little disappointed. But hopefully, because we at least do have Kesselring for 2 more seasons, this kind of first season, next season could be a bit of a wash, and hopefully we can get a coach next off season that'll kind of jive with Kesselring and kind of push for the kind of playoffs and then make a run that's 2 seasons from now. Get a cup before we have to worry about Kesselring not wanting to stay. But yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Not really much else to go over, so thank you for checking it out, and hopefully you check out the next episode, which will be the 24-25 season recap as well. Thank you.